Hello, Oilers fans. Austin here with the day after discussion of the Oilers' 4-2 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. Last night, the Oilers had a 2-1 lead heading to the third period. They were playing pretty good. They were generating some opportunities. They were getting goaltending, and their penalty kill made a big stop in the second period that allowed them to get a lead. But as the game wore on, the team could not find another goal, and defensive miscues and poorly timed penalties and a inability to kill any form of penalty at all sunk this team once again. That has been the storyline all season long. And the offense, where is the offense on the Oilers? Where is it? All this talk coming into the season about how this team should absolutely score maybe even the most goals in the entire league. The amount of pundits that had Edmonton as one of the best offensively deep teams in the NHL, that has not come to fruition at all. And I apologize for my voice. I did a live stream last night, so if my voice cracks like that or sounds a little hoarse, I do apologize. I'm going to do my best throughout this entire episode. Now, if you enjoy these day after episodes, make sure to hit that like button. If you really like them and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And friendly reminder, these episodes are also available on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts, these are available. If you preferred a audio-only format, they are there for you. And we'll get into the day after discussion. Obviously, there's a lot of different things we need to talk about from this game. And I think it's fitting that it's been almost exactly 1 year since I uploaded my first video on this channel. And that very first video was November 10th, 2023. And it was titled, "The Edmonton Oilers Are Broken." And are we at that point now? Are we getting close to also being at that exact same point 1 year later, calling this team broken? Well, I don't want to say yes, but I also don't want to say no, because there are some concerning signs that this team will not be able to turn things around. But there's a lot to discuss here in the day after. Once again, what you see on the screen, or if you're listening at home and you don't see the screen, I will have a variety of topics. On the right, the topics are Take a Seat, Historic Special Teams, Stuart Skinner, Zero Offense, Evan Bouchard, the panic button, and then I'll discuss what is up next for the team and with my content, and then my closing thoughts. Friendly reminder, as always, as well, every single topic will be timestamped, so if you want to skip around the video, if there's anything you want to hear me talk about first, you can do that. Timestamp in the description of the video below. We're going to get into this. Bottom of the screen, Oilers 4-2 loss, expected goals for at 5-on-5 last night, 50.90%. Corsi for 55.79%. Now, taking a quick glance at the numbers, it was an evenly played game. It was a evenly played game, if not a possibly boring game. The Oilers, I think that's one of the more frustrating things about this team right now, is not only are they not winning, but they're also pretty boring to watch. They don't have an established identity of a play style other than low event, neutral zone hockey. And it works in the playoffs because there's other things happening in a playoff game that is exciting. You got the crowd that is just constantly always into it, doing chants, to my dismay, doing the wave. But, crowds in the playoffs keep the excitement level high, and the physicality also during the playoffs keeps the excitement level high. The Edmonton Oilers right now, they are not a physical team. They are not an exciting team. They are not an offensive team. They are not a fast team. This is a team that has no idea what they are, and I talked about their identity crisis earlier in the year when they started the season 0-3, and it continues to play out like this. It's rearing its ugly head, and it is November 7th. They are 6-7-1. There's a lot of time to turn the season around, but they need to do it. And they need to do it quickly. And in order to do it, they need their best players and their veteran players to really step up. And that's where we're going to talk about our first topic here. Take a seat. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, take a seat. Evan Bouchard, take a seat. These guys last night, I think, single-handedly cost this team the game. I see a lot of people blaming Stuart Skinner. We're going to talk about Stuart Skinner. But I am absolutely 100% blaming Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Evan Bouchard and just defensive coverage in general. But those two players, oh my goodness. If Ryan Nugent-Hopkins does not see the press box soon, I am going to actually maybe turn into the Joker. This is more of a heated episode than usual. Usually these day afters are calm, I'm collected. I like to do the day afters because they're not, the emotion isn't as raw. That's what the reaction videos are for right after the game here on the YouTube channel. But these ones... This one today, I don't know. I was so frustrated after that loss last night. And I slept on it, and I woke up this morning, and I was looking up stats to go over during this video, and it's just, it made me even more mad. It made me more mad, and It sucks because the team has to regroup. I have to regroup for the channel because we have a big test coming up on Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks, a huge divisional test. But the fact that they just threw away 2 points to another division rival is frustrating. And this is one of those games that you may look back on later in the year if this team does not make the playoffs as a potential reason why. When you lose the division games. Now, I talked about that New Jersey game, and I talked about how losing to New Jersey isn't as big of a deal because it's an Eastern Conference team. You're not losing points in the standings to a division rival that could affect your playoff standing. Yes, you still lose 2 points. However, there are only a certain amount of points that you can gain against your division. Last night, the Oilers pissed away 2 of them, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was a big part of that. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, his penalty in the third period completely changed the dynamic of this game. The Oilers, up to that point, they had the lead. They were playing well. They were generating chances. And then Ryan Nugent-Hopkins takes an offensive zone penalty 200 feet from his own net. He reached in front. It was a holding penalty, and I refuse to entertain anyone saying that it was a weak call. They let a lot go, but they called the obvious one. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, there's absolutely no reason to, it's one thing to try and get your arm in front of someone, but when you tug their jersey and you pull it back, they're going to call you 100 times out of 100. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins takes a penalty 200 feet from his own net. Vegas capitalizes because, of course, they do, because Edmonton's penalty kill is historically bad. Historically bad. They are now one of only 4 teams with a penalty kill in that 59% range after 14 games in NHL history. In NHL history, that is how bad the special teams is. We are going to talk about that, but we have to continue to talk about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. That penalty changed the game. Vegas tied it up, and the Oilers did not get anything going after that game-tying goal. They were on their heels. Vegas was pushing. They couldn't generate any offense, and then eventually the back broke for Edmonton. Vegas scores with 50 seconds left in the third period. Noah Hanifin, he gets around Evan Bouchard, who decided he didn't know what he was doing and what he wanted to do or where he was on the ice, which happened earlier in the game. You need urgency, and you need your better players to be your better players. Evan Bouchard is going to be asking for $9 or $10 million per season on his next contract. Are you kidding me? With that type of defensive play last night, the absolute lack of urgency. Now, let's talk about the Jack Eichel goal with regards to Bouchard in the first period. Would Bouchard have ever caught Eichel based on where the positioning was and where Eichel was when he got the puck and how long Bouchard had been on the ice for? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There was no chance Bouchard was going to catch him. But what I don't like and what frustrated me the most was watching Bouchard just glide. Evan Bouchard had a front row ticket to Jack Eichel on the breakaway. I don't know, maybe Evan Bouchard had $1,000 on Jack Eichel anytime goal scorer. He realized it was Eichel on the breakaway, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna step back here. I'm gonna step back, and I'm gonna cash out once I get back to the bench because we're sponsored by Play Alberta now. That's Edmonton's sponsor on their jerseys at home. Play Alberta. Maybe he went through Play Alberta, made a nice big bet on Jack Eichel to score because he looked like he didn't want anything to do with him. Evan Bouchard just gliding, not moving his feet, and that's what I hate the most. That is a play. And I'm telling you, I didn't play high-level hockey. I played until I was 11 years old, and then I quit. And then I played beer league when I was 18. So, I have never played high-level hockey. But I'm telling you right now that when I was 10 or 11 years old, if I had that kind of effort playing defense on a back check against a forward who's going in on a breakaway, I am absolutely getting my ass stapled to the bench for the rest of the game. Absolutely 100% getting my butt stapled to the bench. And my coaches would have reamed me a new one. And one of those coaches would have been my dad. And he would have been right to ream me a new one. Honestly, there's no excuse for that. I give Evan Bouchard a lot of leeway. I give him a lot of leeway because he's someone that produces a lot of offense and helps generate a lot of offense. And his play style allows for, I'm more lenient on the defensive deficiency in his game because he can do things offensively that not many other defensemen in this league can do. But his offense is not there this year. And now defensively, he's even more shaky than he looked last year. It's the lack of urgency that drives me insane. It was completely unacceptable. He should have been benched at that point in the game. I know why they didn't do it, but he should have been. And for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, we're circling back to Nugent now. Don't think I forgot about Nugent-Hopkins. I'm going to put up a stat. I'm going to put up a fun little stat for everybody, and you tell me what your thoughts are on this when you see it on the screen. If you can't see it on the screen because you're listening to the podcast on an audio platform, I'll go over it with you. So here it is on the screen. I tweeted this out. Of the 15 skaters for the Edmonton Oilers with at least 150 minutes of time on ice this season, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins ranks dead last in expected goals for percentage, and it's not particularly close. An absolutely pathetic showing from him this season. He has just one goal and multiple games where he's taken a game-changing penalty. Woof. Now, when you look at the photo that I've put up on the screen, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, like I said, he ranks 15th out of 15th of all Edmonton players with 150 minutes time on ice and expected goals for at even strength. 39.57% is his expected goals percentage. The next closest player is Connor Brown at 47%. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a full 8% worse than the next closest player when it comes to the expected goals. That is horrifying. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, this is some of the don't even talk about Nuge as maybe this is one of his worst years in his career. He's one of the worst players in the NHL. He is a bottom 20 player in the entire league when it comes to this stat. You know how horrifyingly bad that is? Oh my God. It's absolutely pathetic. It's unacceptable. And this team will not make the playoffs if he plays like this and continues to play like this. There is no reason for this. There's no excuse. He's 31. He's still technically in the prime of his career. There's no way that he just suddenly forgot how to play hockey. Is this a mental thing? Is it a line mate thing? Is he still caught up in the Stanley Cup hangover like a lot of other players on this team look like? A lot of players on this team right now, it's like they're caught in second gear and they're unable to get to a higher level. And it's so strange to watch because I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' game right now is some of the worst hockey I've ever seen from any player on this team in a long time. And the eye test and the analytics back that up. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has not been nearly good enough. He continues to not be good enough. And him and Bouchard, they're on thin ice with me. They are absolutely on thin ice, and I would not be surprised to see one or both of them scratched at some point. And if Chris Knoblauch does not have the balls, I called him Big Balls Knoblauch in the playoffs, if anyone remembers that. If he does not bring out his big balls to bench someone, I don't know. This team is absolutely cooked. It's done. The season will be over. Last night during the live stream, before I move on to the next topic, people were asking me what coach I would love to see on Edmonton if Chris Knoblauch was no longer on the team. And they weren't asking me about Knoblauch being fired because I don't think Chris Knoblauch is going to be fired. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I was asked, what would be a coach I would like to see with this roster? And my answer was John Tortorella, because John Tortorella does not give a single crap about who you are, how much money you make, what your status is in the league, how good of a player you are. If you are not committed to the system, if you are not bought in to your system, to his system, you don't play. And right now, there's a few players on Edmonton that are passengers. They don't look bought in. They don't look like they're mentally there. And maybe you need a reset. Maybe you got to keep them off the ice. I don't know what the answer is, but it's time with Nugent-Hopkins to send a message. And at minimum, if you're not going to sit him for an entire game, take his ass off the power play. Take Nugent-Hopkins' butt off of that power play, please. Please, this power play is not working. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on that power play is not working. And not even the power play. When the Oilers had the goalie pulled 6-on-5, that puck went into the far left corner. Nugent-Hopkins, he wasn't even close to winning a board battle. He didn't get his body in front of the puck. He waved his stick around. He gets knocked off the puck because it's Nugent-Hopkins and he doesn't have the size to deal with a big defender like Shea Theodore or Alex Pietrangelo. Not that Shea Theodore is even that big. But Nugent-Hopkins loses every board battle. He can't win a face-off. He loses every board battle. And Vegas went down and scored to make it 4-2 with the empty net. Terrible. Just a terrible, terrible game from Nugent-Hopkins. And this has been brewing all year, if you can't tell, my emotional state with Nuge, because I love Nugent-Hopkins, and I'm going to lose my voice yelling about it. This has been brewing all season. We are at the point where the sample size is big enough to know that he sucks, and it's time to make a change here. But let's move on to something else that sucks, which is the historic special teams and historically bad special teams. The Oilers got one power play last night, did not convert. I don't even think they got a shot on the net. And then, of course, their penalty kill, once again, is second best in the game. They were 1 for 2. The goal that was scored from Noah Hanifin. It was a wrister from the point along the ice. It beat Stuart Skinner 5-hole. And up until that point, Stuart Skinner had played such a good game. Some of the saves that he made were amazing. He had one particular glove save in the second period where I was like, wow, you know what? Stuart Skinner is back. He is keeping this team in this game. He's giving them a chance to win, and that's what you want from your starting goaltender. That goal last night on the penalty kill, woof. Now, I've had a few people say, oh, he was screened. There was a flyby. He didn't see it. I don't care. That puck was along the ice. It never once lifted up off the ice. If you are in position, even a semi-butterfly position, and your stick is down in front of that 5-hole, that puck is going to hit the stick. He had such a strange reaction to that puck coming, and he was late getting down. It's like he thought the puck was going to go up. You kind of see him like move up, like he thought the puck was elevating or something, and then he realized it's not, and then he tries to get down into his 5-hole. And the penalty kill is now, hold on, let me pull up Edmonton's penalty kill. This is horrifying, by the way. Never seen anything like this. Dead last in the league at 59.5%. They are one of only 4 teams in NHL history after 14 games played in a regular season to have a penalty kill this low. That is just outrageous. There is, like, what is that? What the hell is that? I've never seen anything like it. The special teams is historically bad after they were historically good during the playoffs, and we all of us knew, that was not sustainable. A 95% penalty kill in the playoffs, like we knew that was not going to be sustainable in the regular season. This team's flaws are being exposed now that their special teams is not performing. This team has been carried by special teams for years. We have cried out about the deficiencies in this lineup for years, and people tell me all the time, and this is not a situation where I'm trying to be like, oh, I told you so, but this is a situation where this is one of the reasons why a lot of us complained, even with Ken Holland at the helm and even with the team winning, because we understood that if the special teams started to falter, if the power play started to falter, this team had no 5-on-5 depth. This team had no ability to outscore their problems. And right now, that's happening this year. They are not able to outscore any of their issues because they can't get a goal in the power play and they can't prevent a goal on the penalty kill. And this is not a new problem with this team. This is something that's been going on for years. Their power play has, honestly, people that say that Edmonton is a power play merchant team, they're not entirely wrong. I would say they're not entirely right either, but there's at least an argument that could be made. But 5-on-5, they're generating chances, but they're not scoring because they have no finishing on this team, and they haven't for a while. Last year, too, the team ranked, I think, bottom 10 in finishing. The expected goals did not match up with the actual goals. This team has needed finishers, and what they did in the offseason did not help. In a league where everyone continues to get younger, faster, and more skilled, the Oilers prioritize older veterans and becoming slower, because their penalty kill was so good in the playoffs. They prioritized Janmark, Henrique, and Brown over Holloway, Broberg, and Ryan McLeod. And their hindsight is 2020. Of course, we have hindsight. We can look at what those other players are doing around the league and be like, wow, Edmonton should have kept them. Now, at the time, I didn't think that these moves that they made were that bad. I did advocate to keep Dylan Holloway. Losing Dylan Holloway was always something that I was upset about. But the return that we got for Ryan McLeod and Matt Savoy, I like Savoy. I think he projects to be a really good NHL player one day. He's had a slow start in the AHL, though. Is he a call-up option right now? Probably not, until he gets used to the game down there and used to the team system. And on defense, you lost Broberg, and Broberg, sadly, he's been injured again, and that was a big concern about him throughout his whole career with the Oilers. He just always got hurt. He's hurt in St. Louis. But Dylan Holloway, he's putting up goals, and these are also guys that could contribute on your penalty kill. They lost even more in Fogle. When you lose Fogle and McLeod and Holloway, that is a lot of speed that you're losing. That is a lot of putting pressure on defenders, putting pressure on puck carriers on the kill. The Oilers have nothing. When the Oilers are on the penalty kill, if they don't gain possession off a faceoff, they are getting scored on. 100% they are getting scored on because they have nobody that can get to a puck in time or force a player at the defense at the blue line to make a mistake, other than maybe like Connor Brown and Matthias Janmark. But they're only out there for 20, 30 seconds per kill. So it's a lot to ask from those two. It's historically bad, and the season is going to go down in the dumps if it does not improve. And that's just the reality of the situation with the special teams. Next up, I'm going to talk about Stuart Skinner, and this is going to be brief talking about Stuart Skinner because I've already ranted a whole bunch. But Stuart Skinner, was he the reason the team lost last night? No. Was he the reason the team didn't win? Yes. Oh, well, how can both of those statements be true? Because when they needed the big save on the penalty kill, despite Nuge taking a stupid, dumb penalty, they didn't get it. And the momentum shifted in Vegas's favor. And, we can blame Bouchard for the game-winning goal, the 3-2 goal. But at the same time, one, your best penalty killer has to be your goalie. I've mentioned that. Two, it's a 2-2 game with under a minute left. You need your goalie sometimes to make another big save. Stuart Skinner made an unbelievable save in the second period with his glove, needed another one in the third. That's just the reality. When the team is not scoring, and this team's offense is horrifically bad this year, you need your goaltender to instill confidence. You need your goaltender to just steal you a game. Stuart Skinner has not stolen the team a game all season long. And if you want to be a cup contender, you want to be a playoff contender, you want to be a team that is seen as top of the league, you need your goalie to do that every single night. You need your goalie to give you that chance to steal a game every night. Because the team in front of the goaltending, for the most part, is playing good enough to win. They're just not putting the puck in the net. And yes, you'd like to see more offense for your goalie. You'd like to see a little bit of support for your goaltender. It's like in baseball. You have some pitchers that they go out there, they'll pitch 7 innings per game, but their team is only giving them 2 runs per game in support. And the pitcher, he has a 3.2 ERA, but his record is like 3-10. And it's just like, man, if you look at the pitcher's record, that sucks. But the team is also failing him. That's also what's going on with Stuart Skinner. I don't think Skinner is playing good enough. I don't think he's playing as bad as people say, but he's not playing good enough. He's not giving the team a chance to win every single night. And last night, they needed that one save. Just one of those shots that win in the third. And it doesn't help that the Oilers I think the Oilers had 6 total shots in the third period last night. Like, Vegas turned it on after Nuge took that bad penalty. They turned it on. Vegas had, I think, 13 or 14 shots in the third. Skinner saved 12 of them. It's not enough. He needed 13, or however many saves it ended up being. Stuart Skinner, fans are going to lose patience. I have not lost patience with him, but last night was a frustrating game because he played so well throughout the whole game, and then when the backbreaker with less than a minute left, that's what's frustrating. And a lot of fans will see that. They'll point at that. They won't point at things that happened earlier in the game as why the team lost. But they'll point at what they saw with 48 seconds left or whatever it was when Vegas scored the game winner. Again, credit to the Vegas Golden Knights, credit to Noah Hanifin, nice shot. But you need a save. Sorry. That's just the reality. You need a save there. You need Evan Bouchard to also have his head out of his ass and understanding his position on the ice and not being lazy about it. And you also need Nugent-Hopkins to not take stupid penalties halfway through the third when the team is dominating. Well, not dominating, but the team is generating a lot of chances. It's just an unfortunate situation. Stuart Skinner was part of the loss last night as much as Nugent-Hopkins was, as much as Bouchard was, as much as McDavid. You win and lose as a team. But sometimes specific players on that team contribute a little bit more to a loss than being able to win. It's not good enough. Not good enough from Stuart Skinner, unfortunately. I love Stu. We all love Stu. Every time he makes a save, we're all chanting Stu. We want him to succeed. But if he's not able to turn his season around either, it doesn't matter if the offense shows up. It won't matter because they're not going to be able to outscore that problem in net. So we're going to move on here. 0 offense. This is another situation where if you are listening on an audio platform right now, I am going to discuss what I'm showing on the screen here on YouTube. So 0 offense. I put out a tweet. Nugent-Hopkins, Connor Brown, Adam Henrique, Matthias Janmark, Derek Ryan, Vasily Podkolzin, Corey Perry, Victor Arvidsson, Jeff Skinner. A combined 10 goals in 14 games. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of Edmonton's 12 forwards. 9 of their 12 regular forwards have 10 combined goals in 14 games. Ryan McLeod, Dylan Holloway, Warren Foegele have a combined 13 goals scored this season. Just the 3 of them. 3 of those players have more goals scored than the 9 players on Edmonton. And those are 3 players that the Oilers let go. Now, I'm not sitting here advocating for the fact that Warren Foegele got the money that he did in LA. I think Warren Foegele Obviously, he scored well. He scored 20 goals in a career year, in a contract year. You're not going to pay him for that. But it is frustrating seeing him go to LA. He has 5 goals this year with the Kings. Holloway has 4, and McLeod has 4. Like, it's so funny. It's so funny. Brett Kulak has more goals than most of the forwards on this team. Brett Kulak, man. Brett Kulak scored his 3rd goal of the season. A high slot tip from a shot by Darnell Nurse, which was a nice tip, by the way. Like, really skilled tip. Just horrible. Horrible. There's no offense right now. No depth. Nobody's a hero. I just want to see one player step up and be a hero. Honestly, like, one player. Who's going to step up? Who's going to inspire this team? Is it McDavid? Well, he's been carrying this team for a long time. Is it Draisaitl? Well, he's also been carrying this team for a long time. Is it Zach Hyman? He scored 54 goals last year, and now he has goals in 3 of his last 4 games. So Hyman's stepping up here. He's on the upward trend. Nobody else on this team feels like they want to score. And I feel bad because some players have played well. Pud Colson, he's playing well. He's not scoring. Victor Arvidsson, he's playing well, not scoring. It's bad. It's bad in oil country right now. I'm not like, this whole episode, I feel like I'm being a huge doomer and a lot more negative than usual, but it is not good. And there are big problems here that this team has to sort out. Next topic is supposed to be Bouchard, but I did talk a lot about him in the take a seat topic. So we're going to skip Bouchard and talk about the panic button, and then we're going to wrap things up. So I've already said what I wanted to say about Bouchard. I don't think I can say any more without just causing some sort of like rage comment section battle about him. So we're going to leave Bouchard. But the panic button, earlier this season, and I don't know how many of you remember, but earlier this season, I talked about I had a little analogy where in front of me right now, there is a huge blinking red panic button. It is massive, and it is huge, and it's so easy to push if I want to. And then right beside that panic button is a mildly annoyed or a mildly concerned button. And that button is pretty small, and it's blinking a little bit. Now, I hit the mildly concerned button earlier in the year. I hit that button. There's no other button on my desk. There's no other button to push other than panic. And my finger is getting very close to pushing that button. It is touching the top of it. It's like in Watchmen when you have that doomsday clock. We are reaching 5 minutes to midnight right now. We are getting closer to that striking midnight in terms of fear of nuclear Armageddon. In this case, fear of Edmonton completely having their season nuked out of existence and not being a playoff team. Could you imagine if this team is not a playoff team in year 10 of Connor McDavid? In his contract year, by the way. They can sign him as of July 1st. I guess it's not technically a contract year because he still has next season as well. But could you imagine? Could you imagine? There will be riots in the streets. I'm telling you. Oilers fans will go mental if this team misses the playoffs. Can't say I feel bad for Stan Bowman, though. He gets paid a lot of damn money to figure this out. Same with Jeff Jackson. They made decisions this summer that they're going to have to live with the consequences. That's just the reality here. And Chris Knobloch, too. Chris Knobloch is head coach. I know he comes across as a calm presence on the bench. He doesn't look like he gets too emotional. Definitely not like me. Not like me right now. I'm sweating a lot. I think I've sweat more in this video than Chris Knobloch has probably sweat all season long. But at some point, the urgency level has to kick in. Or I am going to slam that panic button, and this season is it's going to be really interesting. And I'm sure it's going to be very entertaining for all of you watching and listening at home, because I will become more unhinged as the season progresses. If this turns into a situation like 2017-18, just be prepared for that. Just letting you all know right now. Speaking of the season, coming up next for the Edmonton Oilers, before we wrap up here, they play the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday, Hockey Night in Canada. It is the first regular season matchup since the two teams played each other in the playoffs back in the spring, where the Oilers defeated Vancouver in 7. And I will be live streaming that game. I will be doing a live stream commentary of the Oilers versus the Canucks. Even though I work at 6 a.m. on Sunday, I'm going to do that for all the fans at home because this is such an exciting game. The rivalry is so high, and the fact that the Oilers are struggling in the standings and Vancouver is doing well, once again, there's a lot of narratives heading into that game. And if Edmonton is able to get a win, that would be great. And if Edmonton loses, especially if they lose in ugly fashion, if they lose in any way like they did in the regular season of Vancouver last year, where they were blown out a couple times, I know I'm going to have a lot of Canucks fans in the comments, and I know I'm going to have to deal with a lot of the trolling and the trash talking, and I embrace that, and I look forward to it. But I'd like to see the Edmonton Oilers come out with their best effort of the season and kick Vancouver's butt. Even though I love Jake DeBrusk, and he's on Vancouver now. As long as Jake DeBrusk doesn't score, I'll be okay. I'll be okay with the Oilers winning. Obviously, I'm kidding. I don't want Vancouver to score. I don't want Jake DeBrusk to score. I do want the Oilers to win on Saturday. Live stream commentary Saturday night. Keep an eye out for it. I don't think I'm going to have anything up tomorrow because the Oilers are in the middle of 2 days off. However, there is something that I have been working on that will be out sometime the next week or two. So keep an eye out for something a little bit different that I'm excited to share, and we'll go from there. For everyone that is tuned in to this day after discussion, I truly, truly appreciate it. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are a fan of this show, if you're a fan of the channel, make sure you hit that like button. Let me know all of your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know if I missed anything, if there was anything during the Vegas game that you wanted me to cover that I did not, if there was anything that I missed, any player, any narrative, any specific moment. I will try and address different things from the fans in future videos. There's always things I'm looking to improve, so let me know in the comments. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are not yet subscribed. We'll see you in the next one, Oil Country. Tell someone that you love them. Let's go, Oilers. Fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. We'll see you soon.